players on offense, 9 players on defense, then you have special teams.
Mhm.
So with all of those, 30 players playing in each game,
Mhm.
with the exception of maybe the quarterback or the number one or two running back, it's difficult to get the whole outcome of the game changed. Also, they're not trying to necessarily change who wins or loses. A lot of the money to be made gambling is on the point spread. So if they
Um,
have if they have a team that's going to scheduled to win or predicted to win by 20 points,
uh-huh.
and they win, but it's only 10 points, people make money on that. And you could
Oh,
say, well, they're not cheating their team. The team still won, but a lot of money is at stake.
wow, it's a different way to play.
But you
The
wonder, some of these players making 80 or 90 million dollars
right.
to make a couple 100,000 on a game,
Uh-huh.
the outcome or the point spread or any of those issues seems kind of,
Nothing,
stupid
right?
why they're doing it, but I don't know.
They're just doing that.
But it's
Yes,
been happening. Like I said, it was going on. We had
uh-huh.
many cases where we convicted mafia members for
Mhm.
bribing college or professional players.
Well, since we're already talking about that, so we probably can put this the number one question of today's program. But before that, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Cheyenne's Forum. Today is October 24th, and here's my dear friend Tom Fuentes. Tom, welcome.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to see you today. And then thank you for adjusting the time for moving from the Tuesday to Friday. And yeah, before we start, I'd like to introduce Tom to our audience. Tom works in FBI for 30 years, and he worked as assistant director of FBI for 5 years, and he's retired now. Once again, welcome, Tom. Thank you so much. And
Thank you.
sure. So as you heard that I mean the audience we're talking about the game, the gambling and everything about NBA. Yeah, this is the one of the topic of our program today. So because Tom, you're working FBI and you have very great first-hand experience dealing with the organization crime. So this is your field. So yeah, tell us about that. Why baseball and why these are famous and very rich players will doing this? The small money. What? Why?
I think it's a matter of their ego, that they're so important, they're so special, that what they do can affect the game, it can affect other
Uh,
players, that they're in a position of control over
mhm,
the outcome of these events. And I think that's part, their ego. Now, the indictment that the FBI had, there's two different cases here.
mhm,
One is the bribery of basketball players from coaches to players.
mhm,
And then the second one is the fixing of poker games. So a lot of people are involved in these commercial poker games,
mhm,
and they're using all kinds of highly technical equipment to be able to read the cards,
mhm,
predict, X-ray uh, machines built into the bottom of the tables,
right.
you name it. That's completely different than sports betting.
Mhm.
That's gambling on these poker games, luring people into joining these games and then taking their money.
So this is not a new game, right? This is old, like a traditional old school game. It's happened a lot. Not it's a new thing, right?
Well, the sports betting is new, and I think I mean, not new. What's new about it is the amount of gambling on it. So if you're watching any game on TV now, you're going
Right.
to almost every other commercial break
Mm-hmm.
has FanDuel or some sports betting company
Mm-hmm.
trying to convince you to join, and they'll give you a bonus if you join now, and so much cash that they'll put for your account right
Mm-hmm.
away. And that's different. We didn't have that, it was pretty much prohibited back in the day,
Mm-hmm.
70s, 80s, 90s,
Mm-hmm.
when I was in the FBI, but
Mm-hmm.
it happened. So you had like Pete Rose, very famous baseball player at that time, one of the best ever.
mhm,
would have been in the Hall of Fame, would, just acknowledged as one of the greatest of all time. And
mhm,
then it came out that first he's gambling in general, but then later when it came out that he actually gambled on games that he was involved in playing or coaching, then the Major League Baseball basically banned him for life,
oh,
prohibited him. He's never been able to get into the Hall of Fame, where he
mhm,
would have been a shoo-in to be in the Hall of Fame.
mhm,
So he's been punished all this time. So
mhm,
now what you have are these athletes today in the modern era still have sports betting. You still have, gambling on the outcome of these games, various basketball games. But the poker business, that's a different thing. You've always had card sharks that could read cards and they had marked cards and different ways to cheat.
mhm,
But now the technology that these cards can act, you can put your phone with the right app near a deck of cards and it can read the cards as they're being dealt out, which
mhm,
card going to which player, things
mhm,
like that.
mhm,
Um, X-ray machines under the table reading the cards. All of this, they didn't have this kind of technology
mhm.
um,
Back.
easily employed back in the day when I was in the Bureau.
Mhm. So yeah, the amount involved, I saw that is $700 million. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, it's this guy. So they invest for this case for over years. So maybe this is just a small part of that. Do you think so? Or it is a huge network they are investigating?
I think it's a pretty huge network, but we'll see.
Okay.
So, we'll find out how huge over time.
Mm,
Right now, with 34 people arrested right
right.
now,
Hmm.
yesterday and today, that's a lot for even one case or even one case that has two parts to it, the poker game and then the basketball fixing. But, according to the FBI and the director, Cash Patel, more to come. More people are involved in this. It takes a while to gather the evidence to accumulate
Right,
evidence in who's doing what.
right, right. And what kind of punishment do you think they're gonna face for the players, the famous players?
Depends because theoretically, the more significant the player, the more punishment. And they could look at jail time because you're looking at, money fraud, bank fraud, extortion, numerous things. And we'll see. It could be. Now, right now, depends, the liberal judges that are letting murderers walk on the street. It's hard to tell how serious they'll take gambling. So they may look at, when it goes to court and the people get convicted,
Mhm.
judges and juries may say, so what? Not a big deal.
Yeah, so this is another very serious topic about no one is above the law, include judges. It seems like the judges can do whatever they want.
Yeah, they are above the law for the most part,
Yeah,
or they're so much higher than the
right.
average that it's very difficult. So
Mhm.
judges have been convicted, over the years. You had judges in Florida that were taking money from drug
Yeah.
cartels and whatever because there was so much money involved.
Hmm.
But judges that are just liberal
Hmm.
and allowing and not having the ability in their mind to put
Hmm.
people in jail, let them
Hmm.
walk. No, it's not a big deal. Uh, so we'll see. We'll see if some of these judges, and you keep hearing when these cases go to the announcement of the results. Well, it's a Biden appointed judge. Well, it's an Obama appointed judge.
Hmm.
Um, so we'll see. That was the one thing about the Biden administration is that they were able to put a lot of very, very liberal judges in federal court on the bench,
Hmm.
including one or two on the Supreme Court.
Right, right. I think most of us are very gentle to these judges. We call them liberal judges. But in my opinion, they're not only liberal, they sometimes against the law, or they are abuse the law. Not liberal or not liberal or conservative. It's not at that level. So when a judge abuse the law, what can we do? So
Well, they
I
can be impeached. Depends how abusive it is and how much evidence they have of it.
don't.
So we'll see. There is a possibility that some of these judges could be impeached, especially if it's blatant. We'll find
Right.
out.
Okay. Yeah. So, in the U.S. history, 250 years, do we have any kind of period of time, just like right now, the judges are not doing their jobs? Do we have that kind of time in
Well,
history?
the problem is that you can't necessarily say they're not doing their job. They're doing their job, but they're so liberal and they're interpreting the laws and using their independence and their power um, to abuse the law, to abuse the outcomes. And I think that I don't remember a time where
Mhm,
we had this in the past. And, we have so many cases now being decided, going to federal court.
mhm.
So I don't know. I haven't seen it to this degree in the past.
Right. So it's a new challenge to us.
Yeah, I think so.
Right. And then talk about money. We talk about reopen the government, and still they're closed. It's 24 days, right? 24, 23 days is almost a month. And I just saw Speaker Johnson post today, and he said the number two House Democrats openly admitted that they are okay to let Americans suffer so they can use the government shutdown as leverage. Leverage for what? 200 million in health care for illegal aliens, 1.5 trillion in new wasteful spending, 500 million for the leftist media outlet like CNN, NBC, whatever. Yeah, and then billions for foreign social programs. They are not fighting for working American families. They are using them, holding them hostages to fought their agenda. So my question is, do you believe that by now, is that over approximately 80% of Americans have become aware that Democrat Party is completely degenerate into a criminal organization? Do you think American people are aware of that up to date?
Well, I don't think it matters because so many of these Democratic voters don't care. Now, you look at the major blue cities, the New Yorks, the Chicagos,
Mhm.
LA, all the other ones, and Democrats keep voting in incompetent Democratic or ideologically terrible Democratic mayors and other executives to run those cities. So you look at, what's going on with those cities, and they're in terrible shape,
Yeah.
and they resist at all. Everything is about resisting Trump, resisting the administration, no National Guard, no ICE, no anything. And now
Mhm.
you have Mayor or Governor Pritzker in Illinois basically threatening to charge ICE, to bring criminal cases against ICE agents, and that in itself is illegal. So, they can't obstruct federal investigations. Now, right now, what they're doing is they're not supporting them. They don't want the police to help them. They don't, they want to have sanctuary cities. But, I think that, you know, what they're doing is basically illegal or threatening illegal. Now, I
Mhm.
think Pritzker himself, what he's talking about, uh, if he dares to do that, he should be charged federally with obstructing
Mhm.
federal process, federal government,
Mhm.
obstructing ICE or obstructing any of these federal agencies doing their job
Mhm.
as mandated by Congress. So they're
Mhm.
not just making it up out of the blue that they want to go after people. And his lie about that ICE in particular, they're only arresting black or brown people. Well, that's not true. And so unfortunately, people are listening to that and thinking that, oh, what a great guy. And I would like to see these guys charged. I would like to see criminal charges brought against politicians that are advocating violence
Right.
against ICE or others, the doxing of them, the revealing of their
Right.
home addresses and family members' identity.
Mhm.
I think people that are doing that should go to prison.
Yeah, I
And I
agree.
don't care if it's a governor, I don't care if it's a mayor.
Mhm.
I
It's
think at a certain point, enough's enough.
right, right.
So I would
Every,
like to see the Trump administration and Attorney General Bondi
Mhm.
basically say, we've had enough of this.
Mhm.
Any of this further obstructing of federal agents doing their job,
Mhm.
we're going to treat that very harshly, especially when the governors or mayors not only encourage that, but actually order it of their subordinate agencies.
Right.
We don't want the police to cooperate. We don't want anybody to help, or out and out, we want to obstruct them.
Mhm. Right. Yeah, just like you said, I totally agree with you. It's when they openly say that, it's a kind of doing. It's an action. It's not a verbal. It's not a language. It's not a free of speech. It's a
Right.
criminal action. So we need to do something to stop that. So
Yeah.
otherwise, yeah, otherwise we just cannot. Um,
Yeah, I agree.
can't. We can't. It's just like every single time when I read the news about this, I just think that how can these nations function if we don't have the basic law and order?
Yeah, this kind of decision making has been decided a long time ago by the Supreme Court. We have the supremacy clause. So when you have, state and local governments trying to supersede decisions and policies of federal government, well, in most of those policies, they don't have a right to obstruct it.
No.
And they're violating that supremacy clause. And I think that, somebody like Pritzker, it's
Mhm.
time to put him in his place, I think.
Oh, talk about this guy. You know that he got a 1.4 million gain from Las Vegas for just one game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then people ask him how that goes, and he said, "Well, I'm just purely luck. I'm so
Yeah,
lucky." And
yeah.
yeah,
Oh, sure, we believe that. He's a lucky
I
man.
yeah,
To
yeah,
me, he's a lucky man that he's still out there mouthing off like that without the federal government coming in and stopping him. Whether it means put him in jail, put him in handcuffs, take him away for obstructing the lawful process of the federal government to enforce immigration laws. Period.
right, right. Just one thing don't understand is why still have they have so many people believe in him and think that he's telling the truth. So this
Yeah.
is the problem of some American voters.
Agree?
Yeah, yeah. And talk about Pam Bondi. And she's doing a great job right now. She just ordered Nancy Pelosi to preserve her emails. And after she ordered ICE to be arrested, Nancy Pelosi went crazy. And Bondi said, "You're appealing an investigation, and we will charge you. If they think I won't, they have not with me." So she think that if Nancy Pelosi not obey the law, and she will be in big trouble. They can charge her. So this is very encouraged to me. So Nancy Pelosi is a key person. So my question is, do you think there's a possibility to investing from this angle and uncover the role that Nancy Pelosi played in January 6th?
I think everybody knows the role that she played in that. When they tried, the chief of police of the Washington Capitol Police
Mhm.
tried to say that the FBI has offered help. They have intelligence that there's going to be violent, not violent necessarily, but massive demonstrations, and they need help. And at that time, I think Trump was offering 5 or 10,000 National Guard people to help guard the Capitol and supplement the police. And
Mhm.
Nancy Pelosi had been given all that information and refused it.
Right.
So she's really directly responsible
Mhm.
for much of what happened on January 6th and then the cover up of what happened.
Mhm.
And then when they have that phony January 6th committee that they put together, and then they lose the documents and they can't find the interviews of people that said what happened and that type of thing. Yeah, but the problem is that again, it's the people they're always saying the president's not above the law or this person, but it's really people like Pelosi that behave
Mhm,
as if they're above the law and have
mhm,
done it for years,
mhm.
and
That's right.
Schumer and the others. So, I think that at some point Bondi needs to be careful because you can't bluff. You can't keep bluffing.
Hmm.
We're gonna get you. We're gonna go after you and all of that.
You,
And
you need to do it.
yeah, I've told a story over the years that I had a cousin who
Hmm.
was about my age, and he was rather not criminally delinquent, but he misbehaved all that. He was trouble.
Hmm.
And his mother, who happened to be my godmother, would scream at him, Stevie, if you don't stop, I'm going to beat you within an inch of your life. Over and over. I heard that so many times. I'm going to beat you. He never got touched. He never changed.
Hmm.
So that's the kind of thing. If you're going to tell somebody you're going to beat them within an inch of their life, well, you probably should beat them within a couple of feet anyway, just so you're not bluffing. But no, it was all, I don't know, meaningless threats. And I
Hmm.
think that's what's happened with the Pelosi's and some of these other ones is that the government doesn't follow through and they get away with all of this stuff.
Hmm. So you think it's because Bundy does not have the enough encouragement to do that, or she actually can't
Well,
because.
decisions at that level of that high, the
Mhm,
president is the chief law enforcement officer of the country, just
mhm,
like he's in charge of the military. He's in charge of the entire executive branch.
mhm.
So when liberals try to say the president can't interfere with the Department of Justice, the
Mhm.
president runs the Department of Justice.
Right.
Absolutely. It's not interference, it's called management.
Uh-huh. His
And
job.
I think that in this case, absolutely. He can tell Attorney General Bondi, go after that. And if you
Hmm.
don't, I'll find somebody who will.
Hmm. Hmm. Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. And I cannot wait to see some real thing happen. Not only the words threaten, it's just some action by
Agreed.
the law. So yeah, we'll see. And then when I repost the information, lots of people said we need to see the action. We need to see the action. We've been waiting for that for such a long time. And from your experience, that we talk about Nancy Pelosi, there are so many reporters and evidence about what she did at January 6th at the day. So, do you think it's enough to investigate her about her role from the standpoint, the point of the law? It's not like we're talking about. We have to establish a case against her. Do you think we have enough evidence right now, or we need to? Um,
Well, you don't have evidence if you don't investigate. So I think in this case with her,
Mhm,
she warrants actually the whole January 6th thing should have a special counsel looking at what did she know? What
mhm,
did the police, the Metro Police, Capitol Police, what did they know? What did the FBI know that they disseminated to the police
right.
that this massive demonstration, 1 million people are coming to Washington, there's
Mhm,
going to be trouble.
mhm,
And all of that, I think, needs special counsel, needs a special investigation to determine what exactly they knew, when did they know it, how did they know it, what they do about it. And
mhm,
then this January 6th committee that they put together, I think, is another issue of a complete sham. I
mhm,
think that was a complete obstruction of justice to hide the truth, to not to get to, even right down to the fact that, there were many legal scholars at the time of that committee that said it's not a true congressional committee
mhm,
because you didn't have members of both parties participating in it. And when
mhm.
the Republicans tried to name certain people to be on that committee,
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi refused to allow that. Well, she
Mhm,
shouldn't have been in a position to refuse that, but she did.
mhm.
So, the committee was basically, they tried to put, that Liz Cheney was actually a Republican there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Right.
she actually wasn't.
Mhm,
So the people that they had on there, Kinzinger, Cheney, a few
Mhm.
others, it was a sham.
Right.
They were
Right.
basically unanimously pro-Democrat, anti-administration.
So here are two main questions regarding the special counsel. First is the final result. Second is time. The final result, if we have the special counsel and then we got a report investigate, and then the final report come out and said that the January 6th is a fault, and Nancy Pelosi should take this kind of responsibility, and also 2020 election is rigged, and this is the final report. If that's the case, Biden administration is illegal, right? Can we have that as another result or another final conclusion?
I don't think they'll go that far and say that that administration was illegal. Now,
Okay.
maybe the way the election was run, he shouldn't have been elected and all of that.
Mhm.
But constitutionally, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court swore him in as president. That means he was legal.
Even so, even though,
Even so,
okay. So this,
I think, but I don't know who's going to be willing to test that at this point.
yeah, yeah, because the reason I'm asking the question is I have the other question regarding Trump 2028. There are people talking about that, and so they're trying to find some legal way to establish that. This
There's
is a
absolutely and there is a legal way. Amend the Constitution. Pass a constitutional amendment that basically says that you could have election, for a third term. Right now, he can't. The rules of it is you can work for have an extended beyond 2 terms if you took office part way through. For example, Lyndon Johnson, when he took the place after John F. Kennedy was assassinated, Johnson got sworn in as president
right.
November 23rd, 1963.
Hmm.
Then he runs for president in 64. He gets elected.
Hmm.
Now, he could have run again in 68. You remember the politics and the Vietnam War going badly and everything. He chose not to run,
Hmm.
but he legally could have run, even that's under the current rules. He could have run for a second term, and
Hmm.
that means he would have been president basically almost 10 years.
Yeah, right, right,
4-year terms, and then the end of the Kennedy term
right, right.
would have all added up. He chose not to.
Hmm. Hmm. But Trump case is different. He has two full term, like 4 years, a total eight
Right.
years.
So there's no excuse for him to run a third term.
Right, right. So yeah, people been talking about that, and then
Now
also,
they're talking, I think they're just playing
uh-huh,
around. They
yeah.
mean, unless they want to get serious and propose a
Hmm.
constitutional amendment and see how many demonstrations in the street they have over that issue.
Hmm. But
I think Trump is bluffing. They're all bluffing. I think they're just playing around with the media and how
mhm,
gullible and stupid many people are. And I
mhm.
think they're not serious about it.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so that's the first question about the report, the final conclusion of the special counsel. The second is about the time. So things like that, how long it might take for the final report if we have a counsel for the January 6th? Years?
It could take years, or depending how many resources they assign to it,
Mm-hmm.
it could be sooner, it could be quicker.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so well, we'll see if they have the courage to do so. And I think we need to see that, and the history need to see that. Yeah. And then yeah, still talking about 2028. Um some people said there is another way for Trump to be the president. They're very creative. So like Vance run for the president and Trump runs for the vice president. This is legal. And then when they got elected, Vance just quit and Trump become president again. So is that legal? I just wonder, is that the way that you can play with? Or this is not a good way, but it's a legal way? Is that?
I don't know if they would consider that legal because if that, if that happened that way,
Mhm.
then could they say that the whole thing was a scam,
Mhm.
having Vance run for president, knowing he's going to resign and give Trump the chance to go back into the presidency,
Mhm.
that it would be obstructing and, you know,
Mhm.
I don't know that you could get Vance or anybody else to do that because they would be considered then that they have committed fraud against the system.
Right, right. And I personally don't think Trump will do that for the third
No, he
term.
won't. He won't do
Yeah,
that.
he will not.
He won't do
But
that.
some other smart people said, well, Trump cannot be the like a third term, but he can come California to be the governor of California.
Yeah,
We,
he could do that.
yeah, I agree with that.
We've had presidents in the
Uh-huh.
19th century that became Supreme Court judges after being president.
Oh,
So so that's not unheard of that he could take another position, either
uh-huh,
Supreme Court or something. I don't see him wanting to do any of that.
uh-huh.
You
Right.
know, especially as being the leader of the free world and having negotiated these tremendous peace agreements and all that.
Mhm.
I think anything else would be too restrictive. He wouldn't want it.
Right, right. Yeah, talk about world peace. Right now the Ukraine and Russia is seems like they stop again. I mean, the negotiations stopped again. So what do you think about that? Is that possible for them to get a peace
I think
agreement?
eventually,
Mhm.
but at the moment, why this keeps going up and down, especially with Putin,
Mhm.
uh, I don't know. So obviously, Zelensky thinks he's going to get back all of the territory that went to Russia, the eastern part of the Donbass region,
Mhm.
eastern Ukraine, or Crimea,
Mhm.
some of these other issues. I
Mhm.
don't think that's going to happen.
No.
And I think in the long run, maybe I'm wrong, but I think what Putin's intending at this point is just to wipe out Ukraine and just conquer it and get it over with,
Mhm. Mhm.
and force Zelensky and the government of Ukraine to give up.
Mhm. Yeah. And so I see their age limit right now for the soldier Ukraine. They reduced the age from 18 to 16 years old. This is strategy. Uh,
You
Can
know,
we
yeah, it's
stop?
so evil that they're doing that. I mean, I could see Ukraine may lower the age to 5 or 10 for their soldiers, and that way they can save money on coffins because they'll be smaller than full adults. So I know that's a terrible thing to say, but uh, what's going on in Ukraine is just totally immoral that they would keep extending this
Exactly.
war when they have so many casualties.
Exactly, exactly. And also, I think it's very sad and interesting thing is we have no chance to heard people from Ukraine. We only heard Zelensky, what he's saying, but we don't know the people of Ukraine, what they think, what they like to fight with Russia, or they just
Well,
have no
I think we
choice.
have a good idea what they think because Zelensky won't hold an election. And so really now we're going on a couple of years that he's been a dictator, not
Yeah,
elected to be head of that government. So
yeah. He's actually sacrificed the whole generation, maybe two generations of Ukraine men. So this
yeah,
is,
I'm surprised he's still alive. So
yeah,
I think at
exactly.
some point, he's dead man walking. And I think at some point he's going to be taken out.
Yeah, yeah, and have to, and have to. And then so do you watch last Saturday? I think it's 18th, the No King protest. Do you watch that? Or some video about that? And what do
The
you
no king.
the No King thing? Yeah. So what were your impression? And
I thought
what
it was ridiculous. And I thought that, the stupidity of the people that thought that they were lobbying for no king or whatever, if we had a king, they wouldn't have been having that demonstration. If we
exactly?
had a king, none of these issues would be would be there.
Uh-huh.
So, I think that for them to be saying that Trump is a king is absurd. He's nowhere
Mhm.
close to being a king, and they
Right,
should know that.
right, right. And also, I think the FBI will investigate who is behind provide the money. It's a big money involved.
Yeah, that's ongoing right now, where all
Yeah.
of that,
Right.
the investment is happening, whether it's George Soros or others
Mhm.
contributing to all of these NGOs, non-government offices
Okay.
or organizations that are paying for the signs, or paying for the protest, or paying people to travel from one city to the other to cause problems.
Mhm.
And we'll see. I think they'll be gathering enough evidence of that to be able to bring some charges against some people.
Right. So what kind of charges might bring to them? Well,
Basically contributing to all of the disorder and violence that we have, all of the protest, all insurrection.
mhm.
So basically undermining the rule of law in the United States.
Mhm.
There's a number of charges they could bring.
Okay. So George Soros seems like the big name and maybe the only big name of these organizations. And then do you see that in history in our country? We have such a powerful person to undermine the nation. Have you
No, and
ever?
I think there are some other liberal billionaires that helped contribute. Soros is the biggest name,
Yeah, he's the biggest.
but we'll see. We'll see what they do to take him out.
Mhm. Yeah, I know that Hungary, which his birth country, just banned him
Yeah, he's
forever.
banned from Hungary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just want to see that.
People don't realize he's banned from Hungary because, he's a Jew. And when he was a teenage boy in Hungary
Mhm.
during the occupation of the Nazis,
Right.
he helped contribute to sending a couple 100,000 Hungarian Jews to their death. That's why he's banned. That was him, and he bragged about it, what he had done. So, he's an evil person, no question.
Yeah, yeah, and why we allowed him to become American citizen.
That's another good question. They should take it away.
Right. And also he's doing all bad things to this country and seems like we can do nothing to him. And he's above the law again. So we
Yeah,
see so many people like Nancy Pelosi, like these Democrats, like George Soros, they are all above the law.
yeah.
So we must have some special way to deal with that.
It's
We
called
try,
money.
huh? I'm sorry.
Money. Use their wealth to bribe people, whether it's politicians, judges, you name it.
Hmm.
And then right now, in a way, he's holding the country hostage with all of this violence
Hmm.
on the street. And, and I look at what's happening with what they're doing against ICE, let's say, or against having anybody allowed to conduct federal business
Hmm.
like ICE or Border Patrol or some of the other agencies. And I think that that is so dangerous and so evil
Hmm.
that the government needs to stop that and uh, and stop these people from doing that.
Hmm. Right, right. And right now the government is shut down. So,
Because I think what's going to happen eventually
mhm,
is that you have a number of militia type groups that are right wing that hate this left wing.
mhm,
Excuse me. And I think at some point they're going to turn themselves loose. Right now, we've had the left wing
mhm,
exerting their violence and control and demonstrations on the street. And I think at some point, if the government said, you know what, the groups that are out there, that are out in the woods training, and there's a lot of them,
mhm,
thousands of them, if they just at some point say, you know what, come to the city and do something about, Antifa and some of that, take them on.
mhm,
And I think that that could be, obviously the beginning of a civil war. But if we had a civil war like that, the left couldn't win.
Yeah.
because the majority of the people that are out there that it would be against them, against Antifa, have more weapons, more people, more training, former military people. So to go after these, 20-year-old punks that are doing these demonstrations, I don't think it would last that long
Mhm.
for them to be wiped out.
So maybe we're just waiting for the moment.
They don't have to be killed even.
Hmm.
Let these groups come in there and give them an attitude adjustment, as we used
Right.
to say.
Give them an attitude. Yeah, right. Just let them know who is the real king
Yeah.
of this country. And then yeah, that's so talking about the government shutdowns, how long it can last, what the Democrats want. They're lost their mind. So everything have to have an end, right? How
Yeah.
can this end?
It's
It's
going to end when a couple of Democrats basically say, okay, enough, and we'll vote to reopen the government.
mhm. It will happen. It will
I think
definitely.
it'll happen at some point,
Mhm.
especially now
Mhm.
because federal government employees, a lot of them are Democrat,
Right?
especially where I'm at in Northern Virginia. They're very extensive. So now you finally have their paychecks stopping and running out.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I think that at some point you're going to have Democrats say enough. And
Hmm.
and interestingly, the voice of reason
Hmm.
in the Democratic Party right now is John Fetterman from Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
You listen to his interviews,
Mhm.
and I ask myself, when are you going to become a Republican and
Exactly.
stop all this and agree that you can't support what your own party is doing?
Hmm. And probably he will in some points.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. And then Trump gonna go to Asia tomorrow and have some meeting with the Japanese new administration and also Korean administration, maybe Xi Jinping. So we'll
Yeah,
see.
Japan has their first female prime minister.
Yeah, she's great. She's
So
yeah,
yes, so yeah, he'll go have meetings with them and
yeah.
we'll see. The rumors going on that she has had a stroke and that, he may die soon and all of that. I've seen several YouTube videos saying that. I don't know if that's true, but we've heard that kind of stuff before about he's in bad health or he's not gonna last long. And so far he's lasted plenty long.
I mean, they talk about Trump.
No, Xi
She,
Jinping.
okay, yeah. Uh, don't know. It's nobody knows.
Right.
Nobody knows, and they just had a very important meeting, and nobody knows what's going on there. Something going on, but nobody knows. So we'll
Right.
see. Okay. Well, thank you so much. We have a lot of topic today, and I'll translate it into Chinese as soon as possible. And then, yeah, I'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Thank you
Back
so
to back to Tuesday, next
much.
Tuesday.
Back to Tuesday. All right.
Okay. Okay,
Thank,
everybody. Thank you for watching.
thank you, and have a good weekend.
Okay, you too.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.